Real estate market. Bring it.
Yes, sir.
Actually, no. I love to hit the button, and I'm happy you're back. Hit it for my baby.
That's
Wrong
not the button.
freaking one. Are you kidding me? There it is.
That's good
Oh my
stuff.
gosh, classic, right, Christian?
The beat.
Well, classic that Casey hit the wrong button.
We missed you, Casey.
I've been gone,
Casey's back.
Back from this sabbatical.
He brought his Fresca.
Nobody rocks a Fresca anymore. We
Yeah,
gotta keep
Fresca
this
better give us a
top
little
line.
bit of money on there. Let's do a little rip. We got the boys. This is MLO, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're enjoying this. God, this beat is just...
It's
dig
hot,
that.
man. That's a hot beat.
Speaking of hot, we got record gains, boys.
Yes, sir. We do.
You kidding me?
Not kidding you.
Real estate market is hot.
How are we doing this? I just saw 21% purchase gains in the month of June nationally.
Some crazy numbers.
Oh, boom, shika, boom. Let's hit it off. So throw out the banner here. Home sales jumped to a record 21% in June. So just to break it down for everyone listening on the podcast channel, we want to do a quick kind of market update. We didn't want that to be the tagline, though, because everyone says market update weekly. Check this out. Horrible.
We're totally doing the market update right now. It's coming to you live.
From CNN market update. No, but in all seriousness, this is a huge shift, guys.
No, it
Huge
is. And I
shift.
think, we have these economic factors that are really helping us,
Mhm.
drive these numbers. Obviously, low interest rates, which you hear us continue to say week after week, low interest rates, right? So that's helping people that maybe couldn't afford the last couple of years now afford, to purchase, now, and that's helping these numbers increase.
Yeah, that's a big thing. We're going to go over interest rates, how that's impacting monthly payment, et cetera, et cetera. I think one of the bigger topics, though, and we'll bring this to CK with so much experience being through different kind of evolutions and milestones through the country. It's really, really interesting to the fact that of where we're at in the country, right? We're seeing record gains on real estate and purchases. So what's your initial thought and takeaway on that?
Yeah, I mean, well, we're in that kind of time in the year where we're definitely seeing home purchase numbers go up, but we had a delay. You got to remember that we were all stuck in our houses there for a few months. And so now people are out able to get into the houses, not just shop virtual. So we're seeing some increased numbers. Yes, we do have a fantastic rate environment that we are discussing, but that's a big factor.
Huge factor. Affordability on the rate is huge. And I want to jump into CK. We've all been stuck at home for the most part, right? You're staring at Zillow, Redfin, whatever you use to offer properties. And also, though, there's a new consideration on the environment of your house, because we're all spending so much time at home. So everyone's looking at it. It's like, do I renovate? Do I remodel? What projects do I got to do? You're spending all this time. So there's a new outlook on what maybe your house is. It's not just your home. It's now your daycare. It's your home office for one or two people, if not more.
Right.
What's the dynamic of the upstairs and downstairs? So everyone's everyone's thinking about it. We all been driving a RAV4, and now they're thinking about the minivan.
Well, I think we all have a punch list of things that we want in our home, and now it's more clear than ever, that, hey, I need an office. I need a little extra room. I need my man cave. She needs her she shed, whatever it may be. But we need a little bit more room. And I think people are making moves. That first couple months that we're all stuck in our houses, I think a lot of home improvement things were happening too, getting home ready for a possible sale. And they're just trying to kind of hit that punch list that we talked about.
Yeah, super great explanation. I'd say one of the things, Casey, I found really interesting was one of the National Association of Homeowners articles recently was that the confidence of individuals whom project to buy a home in the next year is still at 11% nationally. So previously, pre-pandemic, it was 12. We've only seen a slight 1% drop. You would think, right, with what's going on, not only presidential election, pandemic, there might be a little more uncertainty, but it seems to be pretty solid from the point of view of people wanting to buy a home and planning to.
Yeah, and I think it's super interesting given everything that's going on. I mean, look at this 21%, right? Increase with the purchase transactions. 11% of people still, wanting to buy, and you have all this stuff going on. Pandemic, economic factors, obviously, rioting and stuff like that we have going on, especially here in Portland, Oregon. You have all these factors, yet you have a real estate market continuing to perform and stay strong. And I think, CK touched a lot on that. Was we're at a season right now where it's typically our high seasons, June, July, August. So we can expect there to be some increased transactions there. But I think you had a lot of people sitting at home for the last few months, like CK mentioned, and it gave everybody a lot of time that they weren't putting into their daily hour jobs to then focus on the house they're living in. Or are we going to upgrade this house? Or are we going to list it? Or are we going to sell and buy? And you started seeing a lot of that stuff. I mean, I know for me personally, just the last couple of months, we put some money into the home and we did some nice little remodels, and all for either keeping that as an investment later or just, selling it and making money on it, whatever it is. But we're putting money into real estate. And I think that's what you were seeing in a lot of aspects.
Well, and to just throw down a little more lightheartedness, because I think like we dive into these episodes and they just feel so tense, and I feel like there's a lot of people that listen to the podcast. That's a majority of our audience, but
Yes,
those hopping in on Facebook Live, I kind of want to throw up the little music again. Like,
this
it's
is
different.
MLO.
We're gonna do a little mid-commercial break here, in the sense that, like, hey,
Call to action.
Yeah, call to action. If there's any way that we can help you guys, whether it's refinancing, buying a new home, selling, whatnot, we have your back when it comes to
Purchasing a home or refinancing.
which is just what I said. But anyways, no, and more in the sense we got your back when financing a home on the West Coast. But I wanted to bring it. Man, this is interesting times, guys. Home prices, record purchases are up. We have a very interesting year with the pandemic and everything going on. One of the biggest questions that I'm switching the banner here, the U.S. won't see a housing bubble or crash anytime soon. I'm getting this CK every freaking day, at least 1 to 3 people asking me, is it going to be a buyer's market? When is that going to happen? Should I hold out? This, that. Hit me up on, in the sense that, maybe where we're at, Southwest Washington, Portland area, Pacific Northwest, generally speaking, what do you think in terms of our microcosm that we're in?
Yeah, I believe that we are in a sense of a bubble right here in the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. Yeah, I feel like there's no issues with home prices. Inventory is still very low. We still have a lot of people still thriving in a working environment. And let's be honest, Oregon's beautiful at the end of the day, and people want to move here.
Well, jumping in on that, I want to throw this at you. I think one of the biggest things is that percentage we were talking about earlier with individuals. There was barely any change in the plan nationally for people purchasing a home. I think the economical shift and evolution has only affected mostly renters. So you're not seeing the aspect of the real estate agent or real estate industry change in terms of the plan, the growth, the whatnot. And then you supplement it with interest rates. So interest rates are heavily tied to the efficiency and the productivity of the U.S. economy.
100%.
People don't get that. It's not just mortgages. It's auto loans. It's credit cards. It's small business loans and accessibility to funds to run those retail shops, or the Paycheck Protection Act, or the freaking United States federal debt.
Right.
All of those percentages affect everyone like a ripple. So I think it's a very unique time, and anyone whom is potentially procrastinating on their dream of home ownership, because I get that when is it a buyer's market?
Yeah.
But the buyer market supplemental piece to it is the interest rates, Casey. I mean, one example, one of my clients was looking at a 535 new construction last year. They had 10% down. Just last year, that monthly payment with their credit score and product choice was about $3,200 with all in property taxes, insurance. This year, $2,675 current market interest rates. Are you kidding me? Like that's a entry level Tesla payment cheaper. So you could have that same house with a Tesla.
You like $500 cheaper? That's what you got.
You know what I'm saying? Like, or whatever your car of choice is, like 4Runner. I don't want to paint anyone into the Tesla corner.
No.
We're right next door to a Tesla, so it's easy to say it.
Yeah, it is. We see them every day. Lots of nice
But
cars
that
coming
payment difference, what are you seeing, especially from your buyers, your refinancers, your veterans? You have a diverse portfolio of clients. That payment swing should be enough of the urgency. I hate to see first-time homebuyers get hung up on that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a huge thing for them to consider these days, because there's something that, people that are sitting on that waiting, bubble, like we're talking about. Should we get in now and buy, or should I refinance now or later? The rate's going to drop. Those are all great things to consider when you're making financial decisions, but you have a thing that's called opportunity cost as well to consider. So the longer you're waiting then to get in this game for that perfect day or the lowest of the low, there's savings that you could have been taken advantage of every month that you weren't able to because you waited 6 months to then get in. And so now we got to make up those, 6 months of savings. Or for someone buying their first home, what if they had, waited then another 6 months, where right now is the time to buy, and we have a change in interest rate 6 months from now, where we're back into it was your client a year ago.
Mhm.
We're back up $500 on that, monthly payment. And now you're back out of the game when you had an opportunity right there to get in it, but maybe you overthought it, or you didn't have that conversation with the loan officer and had those right answers, made the right decision. Right. So I think that opportunity cost is a big thing people don't consider, because they're waiting for that right opportunity, buyer's market, best interest rate, whatever it is.
Casey brings in his classic hammer term of the episode, opportunity cost.
I like it.
I like that a lot. That's a big one. I would sincerely
Maybe we should define what opportunity cost is.
Yeah, but it's just interesting from a consumer standpoint, a consumer meaning the loan applicant or the purchaser, where there's things they get hung up on. One quick example, and not to get too far off the topics, was I remember when my wife and I bought our first home, we had heard from just a friend who was just getting into the industry that you needed 2 years continued employment at the same job. And it was like an off-the-cuff backyard barbecue.
Sure.
There's so many more creative ways to tie that together, and we can help you guys here at MLO talking about those options.
Mhm.
But that's not necessarily true, depending on your position, the job, salary, hourly, like commission. There's so many different variables. But literally, we were under the impression many years ago that we couldn't even apply because I haven't been at the same desk for 2 years, for 24 months. Oh, I actually just went to a different company. So I don't want to take that job opportunity. There's so many misperceptions. So I think, and it's sorry to get so far off, Christian, but like one of the bigger deals too is like, all transparency, this last weekend, I was so freaking tired. Sunday, I took 2 like almost 2 hour long naps, because we're all working like 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours minimum. It's harder to close because communication is really, really challenging. I was like exhausted. So I binge watched in between my naps, Caribbean Life, HGTV. And oh my freaking gosh, it was a huge eye opener to me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, all my clients are watching people put in $199 offers on $400,000 island homes that are going to be brushed away with the next freaking storm anyways. That aside, there's so many misperceptions, and a lot of it is public persona, what you hear, what you see on TV. And to try to bring it back to the mainland, if you will. See what I did there?
I did.
Caribbean Life to mainland. Yeah. I want to hear from an investor standpoint, because you deal with a lot of investors. This is a very critical time to take advantage of rates, because if you have any desire to build a portfolio, meaning own more than one property, Christian, that bottom line, meaning your cash flow opportunity, is going to be very tied to the rate and the terms you lock in, right?
I can tell you right now that every investor is looking for that opportunity right now, and they're trying to take advantage of this same interest rate that we have opportunity. So I'm seeing a lot of my investors look at their equity, extract it, and are looking to take advantage of maybe some second home markets, maybe the desert areas, Florida, some of these markets that you're going to see second homes maybe go into foreclosure due to economic downturn.
That's a big point. I hate to jump in though, because everyone's like, when is the crash happening? When is this?
We don't know.
Blah, blah. We don't know. But I do think personally, I want to hear your opinion on this. I think the second homes and vacation homes will be the ones that fall off. And can you explain to everybody listening or watching why?
Yeah, we saw this in 2006. I mean, I was actually in the Vegas market running a mortgage company out there, and it happened within weeks. I kid you not. Like every appraisal was coming in short. We started seeing default rates, even in the middle of refinancing people. They were just stopped making their mortgage payments. They just could not afford it. We saw those adjustable arms adjusting and everything else. So it was a very different environment, totally different environment. But we saw a lot of investors come in and swoop up. I mean, that's where wealth was built. We talked about that in our, I think, 2 episodes ago, how we add to our portfolios and gain wealth. And so this is a great opportunity. That's why we're seeing, record sales as well. We're seeing people take advantage of this time. People are uncertain, so they're either maybe selling their houses and maybe going to go rent for a while, whatever it may be. But I'm going to say this out there for the consumer. If you wait, just in Oregon, Portland market, there are 3 counties, Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas. We're seeing average 4 to 7% gains every year in equity. I mean, that's been going on since I purchased my last house in 2011. I mean, I'll just give you the numbers. I bought it for $250. It appraises for about $575 now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we look at those numbers, the longer you wait, and interest rates are as good as they are now. So this is an anomaly. Let's take advantage of it. We got under 3% in some cases on 30-year fixes. And, there's some great programs with as minimum it's 3% down for purchasing.
Yeah. And I think those great explanation. I want to round out to a third point that we put on the actual episode description was housing market performance directly correlates with the economy's resilience. Because one of the things that you just said that triggered that to me was when I was reading through a couple of news articles this week, was the most susceptible markets right now, and this also backs in with the vacation homes, are the ones that the economy is heavily driven on luxury, hotel, service industry markets. So you've got Vegas, number one most susceptible market, in my opinion, is Las Vegas, because it's all driven by entertainment and service, right? Luxury. Miami would be another one, San Diego on there. So if you're looking at a buyer's market, like let's just hey, where am I going to see a buyer's market? I would look to those entertainment towns, and then I would probably wait, in my opinion, to slightly after the election. If I were to play and I'm willing to relocate and try to make a move, I would look to there. But one of the biggest things that I think is very interesting, at least in our market, Casey, not seeing the cash investors. A lot of people thought that the pandemic would surface this opportunity for all these investors to come out swinging and swoop in. This not freaking happening. So to me, that says there is uncertainty, or this isn't the right time, or this is a market which doesn't have cash opportunities to the maximum ROI. What is your thought on that?
I'm going to go with the third option on that one. So
it's not a Subway sandwich.
Not getting the maximum ROI.
I'm going to go with honey oat on a 6-inch.
And I'm allergic to sunflower seeds, so hold the sunflower seeds, but I do got an EpiPen. Kind of coming back to that, what I've heard from my investors and stuff is they're honestly just looking at the other states where they're going to make more money, and they're going to make more money on the less of the sales tax. They're going to make it, they're going to make it on one, being able to purchase it lower, and if there's somewhat of a decent market and some equity gain like we have here, you'll make it, with that growth. But at the end of the day, it's costing a lot of money, from investors that I've talked to, add more to their portfolio here. So they're looking some of the other states.
And you just got a fan shout out from Jesse. Casey is a freaking stud.
Jesse Parman, JP, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that very much.
Jesse makes the show. I had to throw that down when you get that personal, but personal call out.
I appreciate that, Jess.
It's big stuff. And, Christian, I think this is a really big thing. Like, I think consumers out there are wondering what to do. Lastly, because we need to land the plane here. I know we got a lot of meetings stacked up this evening, but the one point I wanted to bring forward is the impact of what percentage of home buyers, because we've had this huge influx of record 20-something% increase, right? A huge percent of those, I believe it's 30 to 40%, are first-time home buyers right now. And about 90% of that are millennials. So you have this huge factor. Wow. Almost half of people buying homes right now are first-time home buyers. What is that saying to you? And then back that with millennials. Like, that wasn't on the script. So good luck.
Yeah. No, I think
that with a curveball.
I think a lot of millennials were kind of playing that waiting game like you and your wife were. They're like, okay, I had some conceptions of, hey, I needed to be here, have this down payment, I needed this credit score. And then now that they had time to sit and actually do the research, because they're researchers, they want to know everything about it before they actually do anything. And that's great. They are ready now. And we're seeing them get into the market. They're using those gifted funds from family members. They're sourcing different avenues for down payment, and they're getting creative with their lenders on how we can have closing costs paid for. So their whole goal is to actually just get into a property right now, because they've been stuck in an apartment or a condo or back home with mom. My neighbors, I know that they have college students, or they had just graduated, but they wanted to be close to their parents at this time. Now they've been in their parents' house for 2-3 months, and guess what? Knock on the door, Christian. Kids need to talk to you about a home loan,
A lot of different dynamics.
So we're seeing just people finally making that next step, getting educated through these transparent episodes that myself and other people are putting out there, and letting people know how you can do this.
Yeah, and I want to kind of bring it to another side of the fence, and I think I want Casey to give his insight on this. So let's try to put our brain into the mindset of the consumer. So you have the people, obviously there's X amount based on the data, people that plan to buy a home. And those are going to be half, rounding up, first-time home buyers and mostly millennials. But let's say you're sitting there and you've lost your job, but you still have that dream, right? That's a big topic of conversation. I want to urge people to reach out to us and help you navigate through that, because it's a longer road right now, but that's okay. That's okay. And I think we had a couple of cousins this week where if your heart's in the right place and you focus on educating yourself and listening to these podcasts and focusing on what you want to accomplish, the dream is out there. And I think it's just super important, just no matter where you're at in your career, to get it going. And don't be afraid to reach out if you're furloughed or whatnot. We're here for those calls,
For sure. And every client is dealing with something different, right? That could be family matters, job matters. With this stuff going on, people are getting sick too. I mean, there's just a lot to deal with, but that's why you want to have trusted advisors, on your side, or at least you're listening and just trying to find that right education out there for you. So you're listening to the podcast shows that, MLO is putting on, and you're talking to, people in the industry trying to get the right advice. But again, that's a big part of it too, is make sure you're getting the right advice. There's also a lot of bad advice out there. Like Addy thinking he had to have 2 years on the job before he could purchase. So I think he's touching a great point. Like, if you're in a tough spot, doesn't mean the road's over. I mean, think about it from a professional athlete. You break your leg doesn't mean it's over. We just got a little bit of a journey to get back on the right path, to get you back in the game. And that's what we're here to do, is help you and guide you through the the path of it, and there's going to be hurdles. And what people sometimes don't understand is, in your mind, it might be a year journey, but after we talk with you and look it over, we're there in 3 months, and so that's a big deal. Like for you, you went from up here with that stress, you dropped it down to the shoulders because you're like, well, 3 months, we can put this together. I can make something happen, so, and I'm sure you see that too, CK.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look at it like getting a personal trainer, sometimes they can get you there a lot quicker to your goals. It's because we've been doing it a long time. We've advised and showed other people how to do it. So use us for those same reasons.
Yeah. Great insight, guys. Sorry, I was trying to toggle on the banners just to throw up our NMLS because we didn't do our classic compliance, but I got them all up there on the transitions for anyone watching on video. And just to summarize this episode, like, man, we're seeing record sales. So you got a combination of your classic summer high point in business, but you get restlessness, people that have been stuck at their homes, a completely different aspect of what families in America need from a home, from offices to soundproofing in the basement to an extra room for, I never thought we've got a 3, 2.5 with an office. And now we took one of those spares and turned them into an office. And like, man, it's just totally different dynamic. Now soundproofing, it's like, how do I shut up the neighbors from mowing while I'm on frickin' Zoom call, right? Everyone's looking at the garage could have been utilized way differently, right? Like I would have sound barriered that, right? Anyways, I think that's a really big part with like the world is just changing. So we all will adapt. And I think the market has shown that. Traditionally too, you see people wanting to move when school's out of session, regardless if it's digital or in-person. Families want to do it in the summer. Interest rates traditionally on the map are always lower on presidential elections. However, you see a very skewed and dramatic drop as of late because of the pandemic and those notes that we tied to earlier, with the entire U.S. economy being heavily driven on the financing costs of accessibility to funds. So it's the time to get in, depending on the market. I think if you want to discuss anything further on the West Coast, which is where we specialize, our team in Washington, Oregon, California as well, we got your back when it comes to financing your home.
That's right.
That's right.
Bring in that show music. And I think we get slide into our little intro because I like to remind everyone, whether you're watching on Facebook Live, you're hitting up on our newly developed YouTube channel.
Check us out on YouTube.
YouTube, baby.
Gotcha. What?
Yes, sir.
Bring it. Subscribe, review, hit us up. And we also have that special little number for anyone that wants to talk now. Set up that strategy session. No obligation, no credit pulls. We break it down. 503 VIP 9038.
Absolutely. And for all the fans out there and podcast listeners, we appreciate it. We appreciate your guys' likes, comments, questions, and keep them coming.
Keep them coming. Anything from you, Christian?
No, I just want to say, give us some new ideas for episodes. If you guys want to hear something, we're taking requests.
Yeah, good point. I know.
We have one coming up.
Yeah, we had a really successful episode on the FHA versus conventional with Scott Kurahara, which is our ops manager. He's going to come back in, but a lot of people asking about USDA loans. So look forward to that. We're going to bring up USDA. We're going to really dive deep, try to bring in the full guns, right?
Full guns swinging.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, until next time, I was your host, Addy Net. We got CK. What's up? Boom, KC. And we'll catch you later. Thanks so much, everyone.
Peace.